What is up, and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess. I'm here with my favorite Underdog fantasy pick and plays for Tuesday, January 14th, 2024. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, sign up with promo code DailyDog. That's DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app for a 50% deposit match bonus worth up to $1,000. Again, that's promo code DailyDog, DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app for a deposit match bonus worth up to $1,000. We got lots of slips again today. If you're not signed up on Underdog yet, use that promo code, get 50% free, get more slips in for free, higher chance of making some money that way if you got some house money to play with. At least that's what my math says. It checks out though. I've done the math, and you use that promo code, you're gonna have a better chance at winning something. All right, let's go to some of these slips. We hit an NBA slip yesterday, but it wasn't quite enough to cover our nut. Back at the grindstone today, we hit, but as I said, hitting one is okay, but we want to hit multiple when we're putting out 5, 6, 7, 8 slips a day. We're going to go to an NFL early slip here. You can agree or disagree with some of these picks. I think that I need to get in on these numbers early because I think they're only going to go up. So I'm going to start with Jameson Williams of the Lions, higher than 54.5 receiving yards. Just big play waiting to happen, and I think there's going to be big plays available against this Commanders defense in the Dome against the Lions in this NFC divisional round playoff game. Jameson Williams, obviously a big play waiting to happen. He's come on this year. The Lions really love this guy. I mean, they've kept him around when he was suspended, when he was hurt. They really brought him into this offense. They really want to use him, and he's a huge part of what they want to accomplish. So give me Jameson Williams, higher than 54.5 receiving yards. He's a big play guy. He can do this on one play, but more than likely 4 or 5 catches, he's going to be crushing this number. 3 catches, he could easily be crushing this number. 1 catch, as I said, he could be crushing this number. He's got that type of breakaway speed. So give me Jameson Williams higher than 54.5 receiving yards. I'm going to pair that with the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, higher than 50.5 rushing yards against the Bills. Bills defense, gettable. Lamar Jackson rushed for 81 yards in the playoffs last week against the Steelers. I don't think that's going to change, even though they're on the road at Buffalo. Buffalo's defense, I don't think, is even as good as the Steelers, if we're being honest. Lamar Jackson, how do you cover them, right? They got those tight ends. They've got some receivers that can actually catch the ball right now. And they've got Derrick Henry. So there's just not enough guys to cover all the places on the field you need to be. If you try to play coverage, Lamar Jackson beats you with his legs. If you try to, contain Lamar Jackson, then you're going to be in single coverage all over the field. And Lamar Jackson is going to be tearing you up through the air. I think he's the MVP of the league. I think he reminds people here against Josh Allen, who's probably the number 2 MVP. So give me Lamar Jackson higher than 15.5 rushing yards, paired with Jameson Williams for this NFL divisional round divisional round playoff games these coming weekend. That's a 3x multiplier. All right, let's get into NBA entries for today. We're going to go with Bradley Beal, higher than 15.5 points. Obviously, his number has come down a little bit because his production has gone down a little bit in recent weeks. But we're going to go with Bradley Beal, higher than 15.5 points in this game against the Suns. The Suns are, bucket waiting to happen. They don't play the best defense. I really think Bradley Beal has got a good chance to go off against these guards for the Hawks. Pairing that with Nikola Vucevic, higher than 17.5 points. The Bulls are playing the Pelicans with the highest total game on the board. Pelicans are not a good team. Vucevic loves tearing up these bad teams. Just look at his recent games. He had 18 points against the Kings. He had 23 against not the Commanders. 23 against the Wizards. 24 against Spurs. 22 against the Knicks. So he had a couple bad ones in there. He only had 10 points against the Pacers, but he only played 27 minutes in that game. This guy can crush this number, no problem, especially versus a bad team in a game that expects to have a ton of points scored. And then that is going to be a flat 3x multiplier. All right, NBA entry number 2. We're going to go with CJ McCollum, higher than 19.5 points. Yeah, we're going the other side of that Bulls-Pelican matchup. Why would I not? There's so many points supposed to be on the board. Obviously, Zion Williamson back in the mix. But McCollum still scores. He can still go crazy with his 3-pointers, can still have 50-point games, as we recently saw. So give me McCollum higher than 19.5 points in a game that I expect to be going crazy on the score sheet. Pairing that with Nikola Jokic, higher than 1.5 3-pointers made against the Mavs. Mavs obviously still Doncic down, but Nuggets and Jokic still wants to send a message in this game. Give me Jokic higher than 1.5 3-pointers made, 3x multiplier there. And if you're curious, how is Jokic doing with it in the 3-point department? He is shooting, depending on how the game goes. If it's a close game, he's shooting 1 million. So hopefully this thing stays pretty close. but just in his last 2 games, he hasn't had 2 3-pointers. But the previous 2, he had 3. Then he had 1 in the game before that, and before that, he had 2 games in a row with 3+ 3-pointers. So it's just this number is really, really easy for the taking and a low for the taking, and I think that we should use it against the Mavericks here because I think the Nuggets really like to beat them. I think Jokic likes to beat them. All right, let's get to the National Hockey League. We love the NHL slips. We've done well on these all season long. Let's keep on putting together winning NHL entries. We're going to go with Rickard, Rakell, higher than 0.5 goals of the Penguins against the Kraken. They're hosting the Kraken. Every day I bring this up. Rickard Rakell, leading scorer for the Penguins. His goal multiplier is higher than Sidney Crosby's every single day. But Sidney Crosby is the favorite on the Penguins to score a goal every single day. Doesn't really make sense. How many goals does Rickard Rakell have on the year? 22. How many goals on the year does Sidney Crosby have? 12. He's got almost twice as many goals, but you get better number for playing Rickard Rakell to score a goal. Doesn't really make any sense. Then we're going to go with Dylan Strome of the Capitals, higher than 0.5 assists. As the Ducks come to town against the Capitals, I love my Ducks. I think they're an underrated team. But Dylan Strome, the leading point getter for this Capitals team, higher than 0.5 assists. I expect to be some goals scored in this game for the Capitals after they've hit a little bit of a rough patch. They're not necessarily bad, but they're just not necessarily as dominant as they were. They've been alternating wins and losses for about 10 games now. So they need to get back-to-back wins here, and I think that Dylan Strome is going to be a part of that. All right, NHL number 2, Zach Werenski, higher than 0.5 assists for the Blue Jackets. The Flyers are coming to town after playing last night. So back-to-back opponent, Blue Jackets undervalued in this spot. Zach Werenski only has 35 assists on the year. He's leading the Blue Jackets in assists. I think this is a great spot for him to get an assist, so I'm putting him on my slip. And we're going to pair that with Jameson Marchessault, higher than 0.5 goals as the Predators host Marchessault's former team, the Vegas Golden Knights. Good get-back spot for Marchessault here. So give me Marchessault higher than 0.5 goals paired with Zach Werenski higher than 0.5 assists. That's a 3.91x multiplier. All right, it's Aussie Open time. My God, if you didn't see João Fonseca destroy Andrei Rublev yesterday, actually it was a couple hours ago, then you are missing out. And by a couple hours, I mean like 30 minutes ago at the time I'm recording this. He's an 18-year-old kid who is just out for blood as he just dismantled the number 9 player in the world in his first Grand Slam match of his life. But enough of João Fonseca. Maybe we can use him down the line. But today we're using Thompson Machac higher than 1.5 sets lost. Machac is playing against Riley Opelka, Frankenstein himself, the giant serve bot. This is going to be a 5-setter, if you ask me. That means Machac is going to miss, or it's going to drop more than 1.5 sets, so higher than 1.5 sets lost. Pairing that with Jordan Thompson, higher than 38.5 games played against Nuno Borges. Nuno Borges and Thompson are both kind of grinders. They're both going to draw this thing out. I think that we could easily see a couple tie breaks. I think we'd see 4 or 5 sets here. I think 38.5 games played is going to be no problem at all. That's a 3x multiplier. We got a little bit more of a juicy one in our next 10 center. We go Felix Auger-Aliassime, lower than 0.5 sets lost. Yes, I'm saying he's going to win in straight sense against Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina. He is mostly a clay court player. He has only taken, I think, 1 set in his career off of Felix Auger-Aliassime. That was at the AO 2 years ago. But since then, he's taken 2 career sets off him. One was on clay, by the way, which is his specialty, and he still lost that match. What I'm getting at is FAA is in amazing form right now, and ADF is terrible in this matchup. So give me Felix Auger-Aliassime lower than 0.5 sets lost, and we're going to pair that with Karolina Mukova lower than 10.5 games lost in her matchup against Naomi Osaka. Osaka, good comeback story, super talented, one of the best in the world back in the day. It's not that day anymore. Meanwhile, Karolina Mukova is killing it. She's one of my favorites to win this whole dang tournament. She has beaten, last year she played Osaka once at the US Open. She beat her 2-0, 2 sets to none. I think we're going to see a similar story here at the AO. I think Mukova is ready to pounce on her. All right, that's a 4.02x multiplier when you pair her with FAA. All right, Lotto number 1. We're just doing 1 Lotto entry today. Brook Lopez, higher than 2.5 3-pointers made. I like him in this spot to hit some threes. Alex Ovechkin higher than 0.5 goals. Robert Thomas of the Blues higher than 0.5 goals. And Hugo Humbert lower than 0.5 sets lost in the Aussie Open. 27.34x multiplier or 16.4/4.1x flex multiplier. That's all I got for you today. A lot of slips today, a lot of entries. Use promo code DailyDog when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, and let's make some money.